Welcome back. Thanks for joining us on Fantasy Football Weather Guys on NFL Week 13. I'm Colin Golzinski, and I'm here with our meteorologist, Sean Bratton, and Dr. Mike Ventris on this holiday weekend. How are you?
Good. Just getting ready for Thanksgiving. Wanted to wish everyone out there a really nice, good Thanksgiving this year. Hopefully everyone's getting ready for playoffs.
Yeah, welcome here, guys. Happy Turkey Day, and welcome back, Mr. Golzinski. Glad to have you back with us.
Yeah, my actual paying job was getting a little intense there for a couple weeks, but I'm glad to be back. Just want to say to the viewers and listeners that we are in different locations for the holiday, and due to that, some of the connectivity might be a little spotty on this one. So bear with us. I think you'll get the point.
Yeah, it's going to be me.
AKA Mike.
I try not to point fingers, but why don't we just get right into it? So we'll get into our whirlwind round. The whirlwind round is like we've said in the past, we go and look back at the last week and give a recap on the weather impacts. And we did see, I would say, I don't know, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong with how I'm going to say this, significant impact in the Patriots Dallas game. Sean.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And there was periods where we had some heavy rainfall rates and some winds that were whipping. We saw that primarily in the quarterback play. Dak Prescott, no TDs, and he only had around 200 yards. So this was a very subpar, anomalous performance for Dak, for somebody that's been an all-star this year. And Tom Brady, he only had around 190 yards and 1 TD. So there was no stellar performance that week for the QBs. And as a result, our wide receivers struggled a little bit too. You had Amari Cooper, who threw up a big goose for everybody and had 0 receptions for 0 yards. But we did see the running backs get a lot of volume. Both Zeke and Sony Michel, surprisingly, got 20-plus carries.
Yeah, we the Patriots game was more of the slam dunk type of weather event that we felt more confident about. We covered that game more intensively. Sunday morning, though, we did issue a new caution for some of the other games that we were suspecting some impacts in Philadelphia at the Redskins, and I think that, I'm sorry, the Philadelphia Eagles was more of like an event where the rain happened early and then it started to kick out, but we were worried about the field conditions being grass, so we did issue that as we move forward. So it's always good to stay up to date with us on our social medias at FFWeatherguys.
I just want to say,
wind was, just real quick, and the wind was whipping in that game, and it looks like even Carson Wentz, who's not been playing well anyway, but it looked like the wind may have a little bit of influence on him as well. Yeah, it was a brutal game. I played him in 2 or 3 leagues, and he crushed me.
Yeah, so we did. It was a good weekend for weather last weekend. We do have a picture.
Wait. Before we get there, I just want to say Dak Prescott brought me home some green there. We had a nice little friendly side wager with Colin down there. And, I think that was – Dak Prescott was my Thunderstruck pick, Bus of the Week.
Why don't we – what was that bet, by the way? Let's inform everyone.
So it was a straight bet, but then I put in a little escalator to hedge my risk. Because I still had hope for Dak. But it was a good point that we never saw him play in weather -1 game. I was thinking that he could, go against stats, but that's why we're here to show that stats don't lie. But yeah, so the bet was that Mike said Baker Mayfield would score more points in our league of record at a half-point PPR. And that was for $10. We bet big dollars in this league. And then I did a 3-to-1 escalator saying that Baker Mayfield will not score more than 40 points in our league. So for another $5. So if I won $5, if he won 15. So I covered the under 40.
He scored 37 points.
Yeah, but Dak got crushed. So with an exposure of $25, I made out with only having to pay $5. So I kind of take that as a victory.
Yeah, I mean, Dak, and I don't think anybody expected Dak to have that kind of performance. I think, and we also have to consider, though, you're going against a stellar New England defense. I mean, this just shows you how real that New England defense is. They're like a top 10 fantasy producer this year for all positions. It's
I was just going to say top 10 fantasy player.
Yeah. It's just been, and it's like, it's week in and week out. The Bill Belichick defense is just performing.
So
I
the
want to
Patriots
say,
defense are the best player on their squad, but I do want to say that when you have a weather event going against a tough defense, it seems to be more of these high confidence calls of when there's going to be significant bust of pace production on the offense.
We
well, it's a
saw
good
that against the 49ers Washington game, right? Like where Washington just could get nothing going. I think they only scored, like 3 points that game or something in that washout in Washington. And that was another example where the 49ers defense has just been unbelievable this year, and Redskins could do nothing.
Okay, so I want to say two things. It's a great segue with the 49er defense and weather, because that's going to be coming up again this week. And two, you guys look very well dressed this morning.
Oh, as do you.
Yeah, well, especially Mike.
Look at that. So
Mike went a little all out here.
So we are representing some fantasy football weather guys gear and swag. We do have a slight, a small following on our channels, but leave comments if you'd actually be interested in maybe next year purchasing some gear. We could think about that, but leave us a comment and tell us what you think.
Yeah, all those weather weenies out there, you want this. Come on.
Or fantasy football. We're both.
Yeah.
We're blending the worlds.
If you're a fantasy football player and love weather, this is the shirt for you.
Moving on to this week's weather, we have 2 games that we posted earlier this week for caution. They are the Packers-Giants and for the 49ers-Ravens. And like we were saying, the 49ers have some experience. So I'll let you guys get into it. I'll stop talking, and I'll turn my notifications off because that was annoying.
Yeah, like Colin said, the 2 games that we're concerned about here, Packers at Giants, and then the 49ers at the Ravens. So this is going to be another East Coast event similar to what we experienced last week. And this is at game time. And Mike, what I'm going to ask you to do is just rewind this a little bit earlier, a couple time frames earlier. And you can't really see it on this screen, but this storm originated over the southwest U.S., traveled over the Rockies. And typically what happens is when you have systems or what we call a trough move over the Rockies, you have what's called lee-side cyclogenesis. And this is a poster child event for that, that helped develop and deepen this storm. Now that storm kind of remains stationary over the Midwest, but there's secondary development over the East. And that's what's going to be impacting our games for Sunday. So if you go to 18Z on Sunday, Mike, you can see maybe circle to the New York game. Over the Meadowlands there, and then also our Baltimore game against the 49ers. So those are the 2 games that we're going to be concerned with moving forward. We expect relatively high rainfall rates for these and potential winds. So there is a chance that we even maybe upgrade these approaching Sunday to possibly extremes.
Yeah, I just want to comment on the New York Giants game. The rain rates are predicted to intensify as the game goes on, whereas in the Ravens game, it looks like the rain it'll be raining pretty heavy early on in the game and then potentially start to wind down at the end of the game. So for me, if we were going to categorize these storms from most impactful to second most impactful, I'm targeting that New York Giants game as potentially the most impacted from this event here.
Yeah, I would completely agree. And if there's also a couple other games, you have Washington at Carolina and Cleveland at Pittsburgh that you may have a quarter or so, maybe the first quarter that may be impacted by some rain, maybe some wind, but we're not expecting that to have a significant enough impact to put out a caution at this time.
Great. So we're going to move on to the lightning round. So this week's lightning round, we're going to have 2 sit-start decisions. Sean, let's start with yours. I believe yours is a wide receiver pick.
Yeah, wide receivers. I think these are 2 kind of tough picks that people may be debating to put in their flex this week. And my 2 picks are Terry McLaurin, okay, of the Washington Redskins. They're at the Carolina Panthers, and Marquise Hollywood Brown. That's a Baltimore Ravens wide receiver, and they are playing the 49ers. So go.
Terry McLaurin for me.
McLaurin also. I think that there's big upside on him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to post that question. Are you guys at all concerned? Haskins, since he's taken over, he has not thrown Terry McLaurin a TD, and his targets have not been very good. I mean, he may be getting in the 5 to 7 target range, but they're not good targets.
Did you see the number of targets last week, though, Sean? He had over 10 targets. I think he had 12 targets last week. That's a huge volume share there.
It is. The question is he going to be able to get him the ball and get him the yards, right? So far up to this point, I mean, the Carolina defense is not great against the pass. They're a middle tier passing defense. But I'll be honest, I'm really kind of terrified of the Haskins transition into this offense and what upside McLaurin could have. But if you look at the other side, you got Marquise Hollywood Brown here, but he's also playing the 49er defense. And he had 7 targets for 42 yards and 2 TDs in his last game. But the 49ers defense is number 1. And it seems like the only quarterback, amazingly, that's had any success against the 49ers passing attack has been Kyler Murray. So I also expect Kyler's kind of a rushing quarterback. I expect Lamar Jackson to have some good rushing yards here. But I think I'm going to go with you guys here that I just don't think Marquise Brown is going to get the number of targets to be successful enough to be as fantasy relevant. He has had 4 opportunities of touchdowns of 9 games. So he's had 4 games with TDs as opposed to, again, Terry McLaurin, who's had 0 since Haskins been in there. But I agree that I think Terry McLaurin's going to at least get better opportunity and at least going to get the targets.
Yeah, and you got to keep in mind that we're expecting a weather event for the Ravens game. So when you have rain falling, and I don't expect Lamar Jackson to throw 5 touchdowns again. So there's going to be a regression there. And, I just think it's a safer call to stay away from the Ravens.
Yeah, and he's a big play guy, Marquise Brown. I mean, he's just a big play guy. And with the wind, with the rain, Lamar Jackson is a phenomenal player. I just don't think that he's going to have the opportunity. Could he go for an 80-yard bomb? Sure, but I think that's highly unlikely in this game.
Okay, so we're going to go to the next one. Mike, what do you got?
Yeah, so I'm actually doing running backs this week. I have 2 top-tier running backs. Aaron Jones and playing in a wet at New York Giants event, and Leonard Fournette. And I didn't write down who Leonard's playing against. You guys know?
Tampa Bay.
There we go. Oh, right. Yes, I did write it down. Leonard Fournette at a very difficult Tampa Bay.
I am going Aaron Jones here. I think I'm going Aaron Jones. Fournette is playing against one of the top 3 rushing defenses in the league, and Aaron Jones is spotty. He either could get you 30 points or he's going to get you 3 points, but he has usually performed against weaker defenses, and guess what? The Giants are a weak, fundamentally unsound defense.
They give up about 92 yards.
Passing work here, and he's going to get in the end zone.
Giants give up about 92 yards a game, 1 touchdown. I think it's 0.9 touchdowns. I mean, I think Aaron Jones is going to go for 100 yards and a touchdown in this game. Sorry, Sean.
I went to the Chicago Bears New York Giants game last week, and believe me, the Giants even made Mitch Trubisky look good, which if you know about Mitch Trubisky this year, he's been awful, and even the Giants made him look good. So I would not surprise me Aaron Jones going off this week.
I got a question, Sean. Did you wear Giants gear at that game?
Oh, heck yes, I did. Oh yeah, I had my Carl Banks jersey on. I had my Giants hoodie. I had my Giants hat on. Like I was all decked out. I got a lot of very nice comments, but all worth it.
So I'm going with Aaron Jones as well. And we're here, looking at some of the DraftKings prices, Aaron Jones is actually priced at $6,800, where Leonard Fournette's at $7,500, which is pretty high. And Leonard Fournette's been the 7th overall ranked running back this year. He's coming off the best week of his year, right? He had 24 rushes, 97 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 12 targets and 9 receptions for 62 yards. So he's getting volume. And Jaguars, and more importantly, this wasn't a game script dependent play, right? Jags were losing this game pretty like high. So the fact that they kept on going to him, I'm worried again that playing home to Tampa Bay is really tough, giving up the second fewest points to opposing running backs. On the other side, Aaron Jones, he's coming off a very poor outing against the 49ers. That you might be in a playoff position run here and you're scared to play him. He only had 13 rushes for 38 yards, and that is where Green Bay fell behind. So he is game script dependent. Now, he has been the 3rd ranked overall running back this year. You guys mentioned he's playing against the mid of the pack New York Giants defense. And I looked at the over-unders here. Green Bay is favored by 7.5 points this week, which I'm a little worried here on that because this is a weather event. It's going to be our most impactful event of the week. And I think we're going to see coaches lean more on that running game this week due to the poor weather conditions. And this gives Jones an opportunity. So I'm going Jones.
Yeah, and that was going to be my point with the potential wind and downpours. Aaron Rodgers has been spotty this year as well, so they may rely more on the running game going into this, especially if conditions intensify, which we're expecting they will. So I think, even if, there's not 50 points scored in this game, I think a majority of, the touchdowns and points scored could come through the running game.
Great.
All right.
Yeah.
So do we just sweep it? We all pick the same guys, huh?
I think so.
All right.
I think we got to get a little more creative next week. I'll do my homework too. I'll throw one in from the host perspective next week.
That's fine with me. I'm winning this lightning round total here. Been tallying it up. So keep going with me, guys. I'm the winner.
Let's go to the Thunderstruck round where we pick our bust of the week.
All right, I'll start things off here. My Thunderstruck bust of the week is going to be Jimmy Garoppolo and his wide receiver go-to Deebo Samuels. They are going to be playing in a hostile Baltimore environment with potentially not so great weather conditions. Last time Jimmy Garoppolo played in not so great conditions was at Washington. And they only scored 9 points. He only had about 150 yards passing, no TDs. And I'm expecting much of the same against a very stout, lively Baltimore defense that has come to life here in the second half behind Lamar Jackson. And Jimmy Garoppolo he's more of a warm weather, nice weather quarterback. When he starts playing in windy and in more intense weather conditions, you notice his numbers and his QBR start to drop. And the Baltimore defense, they have ranked second in the past 3 games in their passing defense. So again, like I said, they are coming alive here. Deebo Samuels, he's really come to life here, especially over the last 2 or 3 games. He started off getting around 5, 6, 7 targets a game, but then the game prior to this one, he was getting 10, 11, 12 targets. I think we're going to regress to the mean here in this game. I don't anticipate him to get the target volume that he was getting. And I think with these conditions, I think his touchdown upside is going to be capped. I know a lot of people are thinking about Deebo as a flex or maybe a wide receiver 3. I would look personally, I have him in a lot of leagues. I'm personally looking for other options.
Love the caution. I think you're right on spot with that. I think this is going to be a tough matchup. And we're seeing Lamar Jackson really kind of control the game, especially with all the running going on. They're going to take the ball out of the hands there of Garoppolo, and I think this is a great call.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Hopefully we can rejuvenate myself for the last 2 picks. So I'm rooting for the Baltimore defense in this game.
And I'm not trying to say that as a bad thing. I think it just, it's an unpredictable thing, but we're trying our best to get some good picks for you guys. I was really impressed with the Baltimore defense watching that game last week. I even was messaging some of my friends who his wife is a Baltimore fan, and I think they have a shot if they can get past the Patriots in the playoffs to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I think it's inevitable for a AFC championship Patriots Baltimore game, and I think that would be an amazing matchup. And that's going to be.
I think they're going to.
Whoever wins that, I think, is winning the Super Bowl.
With the weather and just watching that defense play last week, that's going to be a tough game for Garoppolo.
All right, who's up next?
All right, I guess I'll go up in my Thunderstruck round pick here. So I'm a little more nervous about this pick than I was last week, but I think that the reason is that I suspect we should temper our expectations on this player, and that's Green Bay quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is the 3rd highest priced quarterback on DraftKings this week at $6,500. Over the past 3 weeks, he's been pretty bad. He's only thrown for 498 pass yards on 62 pass completion rate with just 2 Ds. He's played against some respectable defenses. The Los Angeles Chargers, the Carolina Panthers, no one's afraid of really, and then the 49ers, which is tough. But he hasn't thrown multiple touchdowns since week 8 at Kansas City. And he's going to play what could be a heavy rain event. He's just had 2 rain events under his belt in his history, his career. And he has had an overall 58.6 completion rate, which is 34 out of 58 attempts. He's only had 234 yards per game with 1 touchdown. So you really to get the third highest priced quarterback on DraftKings, you need to see that production. And in rain events, he just doesn't do it. So I think you need to temper your expectations on Rodgers this week. If the rain rates end up as high as what's being predicted here, which is around 3/4 of an inch of rain. And, for me as a DFS player, I'm actually pivoting to Nick Foles on this one over Aaron Rodgers. And that's because I think Aaron Rodgers, this is going to be a game where he tries to feed Devontae Adams, but is going to end up probably handing the ball more off to my Aaron Jones pick there. And I think, if Rodgers' value does get retained, maybe it's on Aaron Jones types of reception touchdown, but I'm not banking on that. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be a bust this week.
Yeah, this one is tough because Aaron Rodgers does seem to perform against bottom tier passing defenses. He scored 60 points in our league versus Oakland, almost 40 points against KC, almost 40 points against a weak Philadelphia Eagles secondary. And against the good defenses, that's where he seems to falter. Like last week, as we mentioned, against San Francisco, he only had around 16 points. But I think I am counting more on the weather conditions playing a factor here, like you said, Mike, to limit that upside. That does not mean that he's not going to have an okay performance, but he's also the number 3 DFS player. Do you really want to play up for somebody that could have a capped ceiling in this game?
Actually brings up a question, right? If you're fighting for a playoff spot and you have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, you spent a pretty high capital on him. Do you bench him? Do you go out and pick up Nick Foles off the free agent list and bench him? Because Nick Foles has been throwing 45 passes each week. He's actually getting an extra quarter of football production or potential there with those types of volumes and throws. And he's going against a Tampa Bay offense who's going to be, there's going to be a shootout here, right? And we know Tampa Bay is a pass funnel defense. So do you go out and make that decision? It's tough.
I think that is an incredibly tough decision because let's just be honest, Nick Foles has not established himself in this offense yet. I have not seen enough. He has. He's had over 45 attempts in the last 2 games he's played. So they are going there. They are going to Nick Foles. It shows that they do have trust in him. I just haven't seen enough. I'm honestly still going to – if that was me, I'm still going with who got me into the playoff position or at least in a position to get into the playoffs, and that's in Aaron Rodgers. You're still playing a really poor New York Giants defense. I think your baseline for Aaron Rodgers is going to be better than that of Nick Foles. I think there's a possibility Nick Foles can still only get you 15 to 20 points. I think Aaron Rodgers his baseline, his floor is still going to be higher.
So I have my pick of the week. It's not a player. It's the 49ers defense.
Whoa.
It's a bust. Okay.
Yeah. They've been putting up great fantasy points. They have been great production. I think they're averaging about 12 points a week, honestly, all year if I have them in our league. And I just think they're going to go in, and I think the way the Ravens are playing and with the weather, I think they're not going to perform at their caliber that they have been putting up. I mean, shutting down Green Bay like they did was an amazing show of how good they are in my mind. They're second, I think, ranked in rushing D and 7th in passing. But I think the Ravens are going to run over them.
Wow. Oh yeah, that's a really bold take here. I mean, yeah, because it is weird. The only QB, like I mentioned, that's really shown success against the 49ers has been Kyler Murray, and it's been that rushing style type of QB that could get open and maybe make some last-minute decisions downfield, and that is Lamar Jackson. For me, I think Lamar Jackson's going to have a really, really high floor here just because of his running capability. I think you're going to see him running out of the pocket and getting those rushing yards as opposed to relying on the passing. So, does that get them in a position where they get in the red zone potentially a few times more and get some TDs potentially? But it's hard to root against that defense. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I suspect Lamar is probably the top priced quarterback in DFS, and it's going to be, people are going to be scared on playing him against the 49ers, right? Because the defense has been so good, and we've seen Lamar just eat up some of the best defenses in the league, right? New England had their worst week against Lamar Jackson. I think that's where you're going here, Colin, with your pick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I in tournament play, I wouldn't shy away from Lamar Jackson just because of his upside with the rushing game and the weather event? You think he's going to be more effective with?
Yeah, I'm not saying that Lamar Jackson. I'm actually saying Lamar Jackson's gonna have a great game.
Oh, yeah, I agreed. That's where we're going here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that most people will probably be timid in their tournament play in playing Lamar Jackson, but I think Colin's argument here is that Lamar Jackson has just been unbelievable as a player this year, and he's going to hurt the value of the 49ers defense.
Yeah, I think that's inevitable. I mean, I am super excited for this game. It is a 46-point over/under with Baltimore getting, or I'm sorry, actually San Francisco getting 6 points on that. So they are favoring Baltimore here. So they're going to get into the end zone. Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for this game just because of these high caliber offenses and defenses. It's going to be interesting. I think this is either going to go way over or way under. And I think it will be the under on this if I were a betting man.
Yeah.
With the weather. Yeah, with the weather especially. I think this is going to be a little bit of a slower moving game than we've seen from these teams.
I take the under, and I think Baltimore covers the spread.
And on the other side, I think I'd take the under on the Green Bay game, Green Bay Giants, and I think that the Giants will cover the spread there.
You guys have a good Thanksgiving. Everyone out there listening and watching, have a great holiday. We appreciate all our followers and subscribers. Follow us on our social media. There is a couple games that we are watching that we haven't put a caution out. Steelers game could be potentially changing due to the weather, so just stay up to date. Sean and Mike will be on the weather.
Yes. Yeah. This weekend we'll be updating. Hopefully everyone has good games this week and they're able to get into their playoffs and everyone have a fun, safe Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys. Enjoy the fantasy week 13.